Thank you for tuning into another episode of the MPAKT Podcast. I am your host, Leonard Blair. Today, I'm super excited to introduce you to Elohor Thomas. Elohor is the co-founder and CEO of CodeLn. She is a Forbes Accelerator Fellow, a member of Forbes The Culture, a 2018 TechCrunch Battlefield alumni, and she's won a variety of other entrepreneurship awards and competitions. Elle, I'm super grateful and super excited to have you on the show today. I can't wait for people to hear about your story and your entrepreneurship journey, especially, we talked a bit before the show, and you already kind of sparked a ton of questions for me. So I'm super excited to tell your story today. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I admire the work you're doing, so kudos to what you're doing, and then the habit of sharing the stories about what people in our sector is doing. So I like that.
Of course. Thank you. Well, to get started, I'd love for you to share a bit, what is CodeLn? I'd love for people to hear a bit about that. And then we'll go into more of those details later.
Yeah. So CodeLn is a SaaS platform. Basically, we have a talent marketplace. Is way more than that. The purpose of starting the company was to connect, I would say, to connect youths in Africa generally to global opportunities. We like to say jobs beyond borders. We like to say we connect them to their dream jobs, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, if you look at the African continent, we have a huge population of Africa has the youngest population of youth so far. I'm originally from Nigeria. Looking at Nigeria, we have over 60% of our population between the ages of 0 and 35, right? So they are youth, they are young, agile people, they are children that are still coming up. But part of our major challenge we have had for years is unemployment. And we don't necessarily see it getting a little less or getting a bit better, not because majorly because there are not enough opportunities to go around, right? So the question becomes what happens to the youths? Like, how do we help them? And a typical African family, the youth is responsible for the household because you're the one that's young and agile, and then you have to bring in the monies, right?
Yeah.
So how do we help? How do you help empower these youths? So basically what we do is connect them to job opportunities. We started out connecting techies. Techies are generally software engineers, product managers, people in product teams, basically, DevOps and the likes to job opportunities. So that's the summary of what we do, but it's like there's a lot of details to it. We help companies pay their salaries seamlessly. We've worked with companies from across majorly startups and corporates in Africa, the US, in Europe and UK specifically.
Incredible. Okay, so we're gonna go more into CodeLn in a second. But before then, you mentioned you're from Nigeria. I'd love for you to elaborate on that. Where does your story begin?
Where does my story begin? Okay. Yeah, so I've lived in Lagos most of my life. Lagos is like the most busiest city in Nigeria. I like to say West Africa, but I don't have the facts right. So imagine the city is so busy. We have traffic and every other thing. But initially, I grew up. I was born in the southern part of Nigeria, which is where I'm from. I have 2 siblings. We're all girls, 3 girls raised by my dad. So I had a very interesting childhood. My dad was not so strict, but in a way, he always knew how to get you to do what he wanted you to do. But I would say that it was a big driver to the successes I've achieved to date, because it's the kind of person that will always tell you, go for what you want. It was always like, we like to call it, was my hype man. So it was always motivated to try to achieve what we want. And then we shouldn't look at agenda as being something that limits us from achieving whatever we wanted to do. Right. So I grew up, I think high school, my interest generally was mostly around, I was very good at maths, arithmetic at the time, basic maths. My dad used to teach me. And then, so I had the typical childhood. I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life. I wanted to be a teacher. I feel like all passed through the stages now. Childhood, right? But then when I finished high school, I settled on mathematics because that was my core strength. Like I was
Yeah.
getting A's and B's in those courses, right? Or subjects like we usually call them.
Yeah.
So when it was time to go for to college, like it's called here, right? I decided to go for industrial mathematics, which is not just pure math, it's like application of mathematics because I like applying whatever it is I know to I like seeing practical things basically.
Right.
So I did my bachelor's in industrial mathematics, and then when I was done with that, I went further to to having my master's because so I think in 200 level, in 300 level, we did some courses in coding, so that spiked an interest in me. I was like, okay, I'm
Okay.
thinking about this,
Is
right?
this
And
in university or is this in high school or?
this was in the university, so
Oh,
that was my
awesome.
bachelor's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was going for my master's, I decided to be pick a specialization in
Okay.
engineering, right? So
Yeah.
I did engineering. I did a major in artificial intelligence at the time. So I did more of the coding at the point, and I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I know what I want to do. This is what I want to do, you know. So it was interesting. I did that for a while. I think I had a very interesting experience. After I graduated, a friend of mine
Mhm.
called me like, so Ella, what are you thinking of? What's your job interest? I was like, I think I want the kind of job that will allow me to just stay at home and then I'll just be like typing on my laptop and the money will keep coming in. And then he laughed. He was like, hello, please go and find a real job. But fast forward, I think a year later, I got deeply into coding. I went into a boot camp and I was working from home.
Yeah.
So
You
I
found it. You found that job.
I found a job. So yeah, that was how I basically started in my career in tech
Yeah.
generally, right? So I worked for a little bit training talents on coding. Then while I was coding, I worked with Jumia. So Jumia is like the Amazon for Africa. So I was
Okay.
doing entirely unrelated. I was a sales consultant while I was coding. So it was more like my first startup experience, but I
Yeah.
was mostly focused on sales. So when I finished
That's
the boot camp, I knew I wasn't going to coding. So that's when I
yeah.
ventured into tech.
Oh, yeah.
Fully,
I'm
yeah.
gonna jump in real quick. That's super cool because like so as you know, like my day job is in tech and I'm in kind of sales and partnerships.
Mhm.
But it's like super rare, I think, where someone like has like so that sales experience and the coding and technical experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like a like I almost want to say like that's a
Like
superpower.
this tech.
Yeah,
I always tell people I'm a tech entrepreneur. So I feel like for
yeah.
me, I wouldn't say I'm one of those people that were born entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
But my dad was one at the early stage
Okay.
when we were younger. But then he gradually went into corporate. He was into banking, went into like the corporate work. So maybe I like to say maybe I inherited some DNA from that. Because it was easy for me to marry both ideas together. So, like I said, I always wanted
Yeah.
to see things practically. So I learned
Mhm.
mathematics. I'm like, okay, I want to apply. I love the mathematics. I'm like, I want to apply it. And then when I learned coding, I was like, okay, how can this be applied? So I got some experiences working with I think my first experience, official experience, was with a startup at the
Okay.
time. I wanted to apply it to whatever it was like. I don't know how to put it, but it's like I want to see what I can do with this knowledge that I have. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
something that motivates me.
That's super cool. On that note, so you said like, you don't know if like you were initially an entrepreneur as
Mhm.
like a kid, like was there like any like when you look back, was there like any like indicators that like you might be an entrepreneur? Like were you doing like random things like here or there that were entrepreneurial or not
Uh,
even?
Not really, but I was always someone that picked things that spiked my interest. So
Hmm.
at the time I was an athlete in school. That was
Yeah.
in basic school, right? Like I've
Yeah.
done so many different. I'm someone that can easily pick things, right? I can pick a little of
That's really cool.
every knowledge. So talk about biology, I can tell you what it's about. Talk about it, I know what it's about. But if it's
Yeah.
something that I really, really love, I go in depth into it. So I think that was what
Yeah.
I love for sciences. Yeah.
That's super cool. I recently read a book. It's like one of my favorite books. It's called The Innovator's DNA, and it kind of goes into like what like really like what defines an innovator. And I think what you said like really kind of taps directly into that. Like they're
Yeah.
able to see, I say, similarities across a variety of different fields and like find the opportunities to bring those together. So
Yeah.
that's super
I'll say
cool.
I'm that. Like I'm an innovator.
Yeah, for sure. That's super cool. Okay,
Mhm.
so you talk about being at the startup, and
Mhm.
I think you said it's called Jumi's.
Jumia.
Oh,
Mhm.
Jumia, yeah. So what was that transition from there to CodeLn? Like,
Mhm.
what was the time
I
between?
So interesting story. So with Jumia, I was school at the time, so it was basically to make some extra money.
Mhm.
Because I didn't want to. I was doing my master's at the time, not my bachelor. So I'm like, okay, I'm a graduate. I have a degree. I have to use this money. It's not all of undergraduates going like working in Nigeria. Let me speak specifically for my country, right? But as
Yeah.
a graduate, right, I'm going for a second degree. I'm like, I should be useful to myself. I should be able to contribute for my school fees or something,
Yeah.
right? So I was basically doing that, and then I think that was when I learned about the culture of entrepreneurship.
Mm,
Because it was a startup too at the time, right? So I learned a little bit of business from that because I was coming from a strictly science engineering background, right?
for sure.
And then so when I figured out I wanted to focus on coding, I then got a job with a startup. So I was the only software engineer in the startup, right?
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was just me. It was not a very
Yeah.
big deal. It was a small one. So
What was the startup?
it was a UK Nigerian startup,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I was the first technical staff they had, or software engineer at the time. So I had a very interesting experience that I would say also led me to what I'm doing now with CodeLn, right? So my boss comes Monday and is like, okay, hello, we feel like it's time to increase the team size. We're trying to hire someone, and that was like my very first experience, official experience. I'd done gigs in the past as a software engineer. And I was like, okay, we need to hire someone senior to you. So we need to hire a senior engineer, but you're going
Yeah.
to be going through the whole process of recruitment.
Wow.
So for
You
me,
were
I had
hiring your manager.
yeah,
Wow.
basically. So I was like, at the time, I had like less than 1 year of experience, and he's telling me to hire someone of over 5 years of experience because he couldn't do it. He doesn't know how to handle technical interviews, right? He doesn't even know what to ask, and he assumes that okay, Ella would know it. So
Right.
I panicked, and then I think something that helped me was I had this community of senior engineers. I had mentors, that I met in the boot camp and everything. So
Yeah.
I went to Google. I was searching, okay, what are the skills that a full stack engineer should
Yeah.
have? Full stack engineer with 5 years experience. It was that bad. And then I went to my friends. So it was kind of like, how startups are like, it's urgent.
Yeah.
So we have to start receiving CVs now. So I'm like, okay, if we start receiving CVs now, it means that in the next 5 days I should be doing interviews. I need
Yeah.
to know the right questions to be asking because I'm representing the company too, right? So
Absolutely.
if I can't present well or present the company well to the people that they want to hire, the prospective employees, it's gonna look some type of way to them. They'll be like, this company is not serious. So I had to ask my
Yeah.
friends, and then I got a lot of details. And I was like, okay. So I managed to do it successfully. I got our second hire. It was, I think he had up to 6 years experience. I don't know how I did
Incredible.
it, but I did. So I think that was that. So I'll come back to that story.
Yeah.
But then, so I feel like so I was strictly doing coding, and then there was this time my sister came home and she got me a flyer. She was like, I think you should check this out. It's something about tech. Like they always throw tech things at me because I'm like the tech in the house.
Yeah.
My sister one is an accountant, the other is a lawyer. So I'm like, okay, interesting event. I like to go. So I went for the event. So apparently it was an event by Mest Africa. Mest Africa is an accelerator in Ghana. So I
Okay.
went to the event and we had like startup founders pitching. So I think there were like more than 10 of them. So this person comes. It was not really elevator. It was like 3 minutes pitch. Say some very interesting stories with some beautiful slides behind him, and it's like this is what we do. This is what we're looking to reach. I was like, wow, I was so impressed. Every single idea was like top notch. I was like, this person is
That's
using. I could see
awesome.
that they were using technology to solve business across different sectors, transportation, finance at the time because I didn't have the knowledge about fintech and whatnot.
Yeah.
E-commerce. everything. I was like, wow. And I told myself one day I'm going to be on the stage pitching.
That's incredible.
No idea. I had no idea at that time.
Yeah. What year was this?
Oh, so this was in 2017. This was in
Okay.
2017.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I need to find out about this program. So at the end of the pitches, they were like, "This is what we do. No, no, no. You have to apply to get in. It's as difficult as getting into Harvard. You know the stories that they just tell." So I did it, and interested, I got into the accelerator. But then
Amazing.
challenge. The challenge was I've never traveled outside of my country, and the program was supposed to be in Ghana. Ghana is 45 minutes away from Nigeria by flight, right? It's not
Yeah.
that well. It would have been my first time. It was my first time traveling out of my home country,
Yeah.
and then I was going to be there for a year without official pay because it's an accelerator. Nobody's going to pay. You're forming your own idea and what's not.
Yeah.
So the aim was that everything gets paid for, your food and everything, transportation. You get a stipend. At the end of the 1 year program, the investor, they are from San Fran, the owners of the accelerator, they could choose to invest in you or not. So it wasn't a
Wow.
100% sure thing. So
Yes.
my latest challenge was how to go to daddy and say, I'm leaving my job that is paying me so well. I'm traveling away from this country and I'm going all the way to this country and
That's
I'm not even going to
crazy.
get paid. So it's like it didn't make business sense. It wasn't just
Yeah.
for it wasn't for my siblings. Like, how do you explain it? So that's another story
Right.
for the podcast. But at the end of the day, I succeeded in convincing them. So they gave me the go ahead. I don't feel I convinced my dad. He probably was like, okay, Ghana is not far. If anything happens, we just go and get her.
That's hilarious.
So you know how parents can be, and then I'm a lady, they're like, can you
Yeah.
if you know this kind of thing is your first time traveling? So I
Yeah.
went, and then so for me it was a do or die affair. I mean, not literally do or die,
Right.
but I have a point to prove, right? So I was like, I have to come
Yeah.
home with the bag. I have to come home with the funding. So I did all I could. I met pretty amazing people, Dexter,
Yeah.
Dex, Felicia, who later became my co-founders. And
That's
then when
incredible.
we were ideating on what to work on, I related back to that experience I had with the startup when I had to
Mm.
hire. I was like, guys, even with my technical knowledge, I had no idea how to hire a senior person. There's limits to this thing.
Wow.
Imagine someone that had no technical experience at all. And then for 1 year, we were in a tech ecosystem of the 10 startups I told you about, more than 10. At the time, I think there were over 50 startups in the it's more like
Yeah.
a community, right? So we saw startups struggling to hire engineers. And we're like, guys, another
Wow.
founders is they are all software engineers as well. So we all have a background in engineering.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to some extent, we had more knowledge about hiring or about engineering itself, not necessarily hiring. Unlike most of the people that were trying to start up a business, who could be business people and what's not from different backgrounds. So we're like, okay, how can we possibly help these founders? And in so doing, we are all from Africa, but different countries. I'm the only one from Nigeria. Two of them are from Kenya in East Africa, and one
Yeah.
person from Ivory Coast, which is the French-speaking part of West Africa. So we're
Yeah.
like, okay. And then we related our various experiences and we saw that they were kind of similar, right? How can we help youths? We've all been in the job process, like trying to get a
Wow.
job and what's not. We've employed before, How can we
Yeah.
help fellow youths like us, techies like us, access jobs or get access to jobs that they will enjoy doing, So that was how CodeLn came about. So I mean, we
This
had the
is
whole
at the accelerator? Like,
yes. So at the
okay.
end
Yeah.
of before the end of I think 3 months before the end of the accelerator was when we finalized the idea because you have to do a detailed market research and what's not. So the good
Yeah.
thing is that we got the funding.
Oh,
So
congrats.
funding for us. So I didn't have to go back to explain to my family. So which was good. But then that was only just when the whole I would say like it became real. That's when it became real.
Yeah.
Like you could find we have to have actual users, we have to have like revenue coming in, and what's not. We have to be very innovative so competitors don't come
Yeah.
and keep us out of the market. So I would say that that's where when we really started the business. So it was officially sometime in 2018 in Ghana. And
Yeah.
then we've been through a lot of process. Right now, we are in 3 countries. We're in Ghana, we're in Nigeria, and in the US. Like I mentioned, I'm currently working on an expansion in the US. I've been working on it since 2021. We have some amazing products that we are launching pretty soon. And it's been an exciting and challenging journey, but I'm
Yeah.
loving the challenges.
That's incredible. Okay, so I have a couple questions. That
Mhm.
first, what was your dad's response when you finally got that funding?
Okay, there's this thing, something you have to know about African parents. They will never tell you that you are correct when they are wrong. Like, there's no way he would have told me, men or women, they will never tell you, you were right, my child. Nobody does that. They're like, oh, you got it. Okay. That's the end of it. They don't want to admit that they were wrong or that their worries, their concerns was valid. No. So it was a validation for him. So I feel like throughout my childhood, even when I was growing up, right, he always it
Yeah.
it, it doesn't want to limit us. It never really wanted to limit us. It's like, okay, what do you want to do? You tell him, it's like, no, I don't think it should be done this way, do it this way. But if you insist, he'll be like, okay, maybe there's a reason she's insisting. He will let you have your way. But
That's
God
awesome.
helps you if it goes wrong. For the rest of your life, you keep hearing, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. But if it goes right, you just not hear anything. You won't say
That's
it.
great.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
but yeah,
Okay,
it was very
go ahead.
proud of
That's incredible. Okay, so after you got the funding at
Mhm.
the end of the program, what was your next step from there? Did you all immediately go? Do you start fundraising even more, or did you start
No.
building a product trying to
Mm.
test the market, or what?
Yeah, so basically the funding was mostly we are at the point where we just had an idea and an MVP, very basic
Yeah,
MVP, more like a prototype. So we had to build a real product. So of
yeah,
course it was a tedious 1 year. We all went to our various countries. I think we went away for like 2 or 3 weeks, I can't remember. And then we came back
yeah,
to set up. So I lived in Ghana for a little over 2 years because I had to be with my team managing things. And then I moved when we had to expand to Nigeria, right?
yeah.
So that was really when the work started. We faced the market. So I think one of the challenges we faced was because we all have a background in engineering, we assumed, and we did our market research, we spoke to our users, we just assumed we had an idea of what the product should look like because engineers are
Mm,
usually fast to build. I know what they're looking for, let's just build it. So we built our first I would say version 1 of the product, took it to the market, and then it hit us that our product was too complicated, right? So
mm,
the UX, the user experience was not so great.
yeah,
We're watching people struggle to use the product. We built it from what we had in our head, so it was like too complex for them. So at the end of the day, you need to realize that if you're solving a problem, you have to make it easily accessible. If the user has to
mhm,
struggle to use your product, they will drop out at certain points. So to
yeah,
avoid, I think that was one of the first mistakes we made. We had to go back and simplify the product, I would say, not necessarily rebuild. So simplify, make it
yeah,
very simple and direct for users to know that, like, basically assume that the users are babies. They don't want to stress themselves. Just every instruction, do whatever it is you want to do to make that experience easy for them. So we did
yeah,
that. And then so we faced different challenges at different as a different stage of the business. So we started out as a community. While we're building the product, we're forming the community, growing the database. And the
yeah,
good thing was we all had communities in our various countries. So it was easier telling our community, we started this cool new thing. You guys should check it out. We can help you gain access to your next job. Right. So we got, I
yeah.
think our first 2 years, we got like 6,000 talents on the platform. It was super fast.
Wow. Are these
Yeah.
all developers, or did people not know how to develop before coming into this, or?
No, developers. So that was the
Okay,
community.
okay,
Yeah, so the
okay.
developers. So we had boot camps, we had
That's awesome.
hackathons. So we got sponsorship. We've worked with Microsoft, we've worked with IBM,
Yeah,
we've worked with Cloudinary in the US. So we do like hackathons and boot camps
that's
where
incredible.
the talent gets to use their product and then it get cash reward. I think there was one we also did where the participants were giving money, 10K USD, 15K USD to grow it as a business, their ideas as a business. So it was really a
Wow.
lot of heavy lifting in terms of the talent space when we first started.
Yeah,
You have to do that to keep both sides of the market. So after doing that and building the product or simplifying the product, we now went ahead to say, okay, we need to get the demand side, right? So let's go to the companies and say, okay, we have this talent. We also have our own in-house process of validating the skill. That's something that was of importance to the companies, right?
Yeah.
Validating that they have this right set of skills. So we built a product. We currently have a patent for it that does that for us, validates their skills using algorithms, quizzes, project-based
Wow.
assessments. So it was
That's
easy.
awesome.
We're assuring them that we're giving them quality talent that have been verified. You want to go ahead
Yeah.
and test them, go ahead and test them. So we then moved to the part when I think that was in late mid 2019. We started the business. I can say officially in January, right? Because we started
Mhm.
late November, but it was mostly product. So late 2019, what we started doing is going to reach out to companies to hire from us. And then COVID hits. It was not a problem for us. Like I said, that was when we saw the opportunity to expand beyond just the African continent. We got
Yeah.
requests from people in UK, we got requests from people in the US, we got requests from specifically in Europe, France, Germany. People were looking to hire from
That's
our market,
incredible.
so we're like, this is an opportunity. So once
Yeah.
lockdown was over, another thing that helped us, we got into another accelerator. It's called Starter in New York.
Yeah.
So they help like international founders soft landing in the US. So that was the drive for us. So we went over there, did some market research, gather some data, and then we are currently growing the business. We currently have clients in that market. So at
Wow.
different stages, it's always been a stage. We are at the point now where we are looking to raise our seed round, right?
Yeah.
And then we are launching a new product soon, which will allow companies, or we mostly work with startups and some corporates, right? Companies to easily pay their talent in Africa. So it's called CodeLn Pay. So that's a product we are working on. One thing we've realized in our space is you are always
Yeah.
innovating. You have to keep innovating so you can meet the needs of your users, and also so your competitors don't come and like kick you off the market, right? So,
Right.
yeah, so currently where we are at now, we are fundraising, we are expanding the business, specifically in the US for now. We're looking to other markets eventually. Yeah, that's mostly it.
That's incredible. I'm like blown away by like this story. Like, so you know what? One question I have,
Yeah.
I have an idea, but I'd love to hear from you.
Mhm.
What's the long lasting impact that you want CodeLn to have?
Yeah. So for us, like I mentioned earlier, the overall the overall aim for starting the company was to help people in youth specifically, and
Yeah.
I explained this earlier is because from where we are from, the youths are mostly the ones that are in charge of like the income of the family. So the people that are
Yeah.
old, youths can be within a certain age range, right? But people that are old are supposed to be resting, right, or in
Yeah.
retirement. So to get that age gap, that those set of people access to job opportunities, be it in their local country, in their local continent, or be it beyond their continent. For example, we have Nigerian engineers working for companies in South Africa. It doesn't have to be limited to the West and Africa itself. We have companies that are hiring from us from across UK, US, Europe, right, and also
Right.
within Africa. So it's basically for us, it's basically jobs without borders for youth in emerging markets, right? So right now we started with engineering because, well, that's our forte, but we are looking to scale it into other jobs. So basically jobs that can be done remotely. If a talent chooses to relocate, that's really up to them. We provide support for that, but giving people access to jobs that can be done in their convenience, right? So
Yeah.
where that definition of convenience is for them, right? So we are just like the facilitator in between. And then we have beyond that, so that's the overall vision, right? Basically, beyond that, it's really about connecting people to opportunity or youth to
I love
opportunities.
that.
It's job right now, it could be something else later on in the future.
Yeah, I love that. You
Mhm.
mentioned Jobs Without Borders. I know you guys currently have an Indiegogo campaign
Oh yeah.
on Jobs Without Borders. I'd love
Mhm.
for you to speak about that.
Yes, yes. So it's basically what we've been doing for a while. We feel like we need to give more to the community, right? Before COVID lockdown, we had a lot of opportunities we worked with a lot of corporates, like I mentioned, but those activities have slowed down because people are looking into different companies specifically. Some of them are holding up, they don't really have a budget for things like that. So what we are thinking is, beyond just providing this candidates with jobs, how can we help them to gain other opportunities in the region? So we say jobs without borders, but it's basically opportunities for youths that are idle or youths that are looking to scale up to the next level, because the higher they go, the more the younger ones keep attaining different levels. So that's something we are trying to achieve. We want to push our community beyond just coding itself, right?
Yeah.
Push our community, the community of youths, connect them with opportunities that they can be doing from their local country, or opportunities that can be done beyond borders. Basically, like, I shouldn't be limited by the fact that I'm in a certain city
That's
or in a
awesome.
certain country. I shouldn't be limited to opportunities to that within that country, within that city, because at the end of the day, there's not enough to go around, right? So can we connect a talent in I don't know, even if it's the Gambia, to opportunities in South Africa,
Yeah.
talent in Senegal, like you said, to opportunity in France, because you're
Yeah.
so whatever, wherever there is opportunity. So we are doing the campaign to raise funds to get these opportunities sealed. We are speaking to a couple of companies. We are looking at a lot of partnerships, right? So for this, we don't necessarily need to make money from it. We just want to connect them to opportunities and get
Of
get
course.
the money.
Yeah. That's super cool. Okay, so you've been running CodeLn for a while now.
Mhm.
What's probably, I guess what I'm asking is, what's been your most favorite project or like success story, or I'd love to hear from you on that.
Mhm. We've had so many um success stories, project. I'll say that this particular project we're working on, Jobs Without Borders, is really personal to me.
Mhm.
Mostly because sometimes I get the opportunity to get direct feedback from the talent we're working with. Like, it's something as little as connecting them to a job that is paying them or granting them the opportunity to provide or contribute to the household income. And then I have
Yeah.
people messaging me, I have people texting me, I have people calling me, thank you for the opportunity. If not for CodeLn, we wouldn't have gotten this opportunity. So it's like you're helping them kickstart their career for those that are just starting, and then for those
Yeah.
that are senior, helping them see that there's prospects beyond where they are right now to what they want to achieve. So
Yeah.
that was one interesting project we were working on. We had one we did sometime. This was in Kenya, I think before COVID. It was the one we did with Microsoft. So what they did was, naturally you would pay for, it was a program with Azure. I think Azure, yeah. You pay for the course, and then but then they got trainers to train our candidates in Kenya. They got trained, and then they got the opportunity to write the exam for free. So things like that, it makes up for the fact that we have so many talents. We might not be able to match all of them to jobs immediately,
Yeah.
but giving you an opportunity to upskill that would eventually get you that job that you want to get. So it's not just about just the jobs alone. And then for
Yeah.
stories I have had, or we generally as the company, we've had a couple. But I think one thing that excited me the most was, so I got a interesting in Senegal,
Yeah.
Dakar.
Oh, awesome. My
Okay.
sister's in the car.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said that was in, I think in 2020. That was my first official award I received, right?
Wow. That's awesome.
Imagine entrepreneur of the year. So it was an exciting moment for me, because I'm like,
Yes.
okay, it's like proof that all the work you've been doing, somebody or people, not just somebody right now, people are
Yeah.
noticing this, right? And then they are awarding you for the things you've done. So initially, my how do I put it? What makes me feel good is when I get feedback from these people that we are helping. And
Yeah.
then what keeps me going in times when I'm sad is when I remember why I started. So the fact that someone or a group of people recognized what we are doing and gave us an award, was like, okay, maybe we're not so doing so bad after all. It was like proof of concept. So that
That's
was an
incredible.
exciting moment for me personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like eating this whole story. I'm like, I love this. Like, your story is the exact reason I started this podcast, because
Mm,
I think you know really the stories that I want to tell are ones where, you know, we can see entrepreneurs, business owners, creators, founders, whatever, like impact their communities through
Yeah.
through whatever, you know, they're creating. And you know, you and your team are 100% doing
Mhm.
that. Okay, so you mentioned that you all are raising your seed round.
Mhm.
You know, I guess my first question out of that is how much you raising, and then my second question is, you know, what does, you know, the rest of the year look like for you, for
Mhm.
I guess for you and your team, for CodeLn.
Yeah. So for a seed round, what we're raising right now is 1.2 million.
Awesome.
Yes, to take us to the next level, in terms of our product, in terms of the partnerships and expansions we are trying to get, and specifically also for sales and marketing.
Yeah,
Right. So like I mentioned, we have some exciting products we are launching this year. So one we've completed is called Clyde. So that's the platform I told you we have a patent for. So we are going to launch it as a white label solution to companies that are looking to test the coding skills of their talent. Right. So
that's
that's
incredible.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then secondly, for CodeLn Pay, like I mentioned, so that was basically out of a need we saw. So we had, like I mentioned, we have our talents in Africa working for companies across. For some of our clients, they struggle to do cross-border payments to certain countries, and then for the engineers, the fees to collect their salaries, the charges are high from the fintech platforms they're using. So
Yeah.
our major aim was to try and solve it for both parties. And we finally came up with a solution, which is very exciting. This product we should be launching sometime in early June. Right. So
Okay.
still bent on Q1. We have to meet up our target. So we're launching it this
Yes.
sorry, Q2. We're launching it this quarter. So that's something very exciting, and we're looking to push this product effectively, hopefully get it to the right audience within the year. But way beyond that, if you're talking about the plans we have for the company, like I mentioned, having our vision in mind is also to expand across markets, and not just expand, but expand with reason, right? So we got interest,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, from Europe, from UK, from US, but we choose to start with the US because first we always need a soft landing. So we got the soft landing from an accelerator. We are kickstarting with that, grow the business to a certain level, hire the right team to manage it there, and then expand into a new market.
Yeah.
Um, of course, you need funding for these things, right?
Of course.
Very important. So those are the plans we have. And then for the product, we just keep growing, expanding our reach beyond. We are looking at doing this. For me personally, I don't just want to I want to be the global company, right?
Yeah.
So I want to build a company where the impact can be felt globally, right? Not just
Yeah.
for Africans, for youth in emerging markets. How can we help them? Unemployment is a global issue, right? We're starting with this market because we have an understanding of this market. This is where we are from, but we really want to grow this beyond just Africa.
This is again, like I'm blown away. Like y'all are doing so much, and, like you're killing it. Like you're not
Thank
just doing a lot, but you're doing it with excellence. Like that's
you.
like a great combo.
Thank
My question out of that is like,
you.
what do you do for fun? Like what do you do outside? Like what do you do outside of CodeLn? Because like you're on top of it, you're killing it.
Okay. So I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
Because my co-founders, we all have different things we do for fun, but like not just work or code. No, we try to have work-life balance. My team was
Yeah.
in New York with me in November, so they all came around
That's
for
awesome.
around Thanksgiving in November last year. So I did
Yes.
the whole New York tour and everything. It was exciting having them around. So yeah, I do a lot of things. Don't be surprised. So I one interesting thing to mention is I've climbed 5 mountains. Don't say anything. Mountains some can be classified as rocks. So I don't know the height, but I've climbed 5 of those things. You get me? So I love hiking, right? That's something I
That's
enjoy.
great.
I love I love traveling. I've been to I think 9 countries currently. It's hard to do a startup and be traveling. So for now, I'm taking it slowly, you know. So I love traveling,
Absolutely.
hiking. I love movies. I feel like mostly just love movies. So yes,
Yes.
sometimes I do movies on Fridays. But yeah, I really like being around cool people, like around my friends. I'm the person that has fun at home or
Yeah.
outside with friends, with people that are very dear to me. So it could be outside, it could be a picnic, it could be in the house. So that's another thing I love doing. But yeah, sometimes I just explore. Like I'm playing frisbee for the first time on Sunday.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
incredible.
I keep asking myself when they throw the thing, I hope it doesn't like cut through your throat or something because I've never done it before. So I love exploring things like that. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
That's super cool. I gotta hear how that goes. Okay, so my next question, as I'm listening to you, your
Mhm,
story, your entrepreneurial story, the company
mhm,
story, all of it is super inspiring, and I
mhm,
know it's inspiring to young women, young men, not just like in Africa or in New York or in Nigeria or in Ghana or Dakar, like, but I think like you have like a phenomenal story.
mhm,
Um, from that, I guess I want to know, what advice do you have for that younger entrepreneur, or even like, I almost want to, ask you, what advice would you give to your younger self?
mhm,
We're like, because I don't know if every entrepreneur knows that they're going to be an entrepreneur,
mhm.
when they're much younger. So I guess what advice would you give for your younger self?
I would say take risk because I feel like there are opportunities that I would have that have taken me to the next level generally in life that I did not venture into because of fear or too much worry about what would be, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I would tell my younger self. Take risks. I mean, like risks, you have to think about the risks, like but certainly take some risks that can be accounted for. Right. So I think
Yeah,
that's what I would tell myself, yeah.
that's
Then
awesome.
yeah, so for upcoming entrepreneurs, I feel like people think that entrepreneurship is easy. It's not necessarily easy, it's not necessarily difficult. So
Mhm.
don't expect it to be like a bed of roses or easy peasy. So understand that at different levels in your entrepreneurial journey, you would face different challenges. The challenges we are facing now are way different from the challenges we were facing when we started. When we started, we were
Yeah,
like, we need to validate like proof of concept. We need to get more users. We need to, after getting a certain level of users, we're like, oh, we need to get revenue. We're almost running out of funding, and then we got that at
yeah,
the point where we are expanding the business, right? So, and then don't expect it to be easy. Remember that there are times I can tell you, I have wept. There are times the adrenaline will be so high. I've wept. I've gotten like so excited at different things. There are times when, but the interesting. I don't know if this is everybody's experience. There have been more low times than high times, right?
mhm,
Not to say that the high
yeah,
times won't count, but whenever it comes, we always
yeah,
celebrating it. So that's the kind of journey you expect from entrepreneurship, right? And then when those times come, when the low times come, what keeps me going, like I said before, is I always remember why I started, right? So
mhm,
you should, I believe that whatever business you want to venture into, you have to have a good reason to go into it. So
yeah,
it could be something that happened to you in the past, maybe a family member. It could be your passion to solve this problem that you have identified, right? But
yeah.
for me, what keeps me going is the fact that I know that okay, I started this thing because I mean, I just told you my story. You know where I was coming from. Yes, and the obstacles, but way beyond that, it was because I knew that I wanted to solve problems with the knowledge that I had, right? I wanted to solve problems with the
Mhm,
knowledge that I had. Beyond that, I remember that there are people depending on us, right? We have a community that's depending on us
yeah,
to connect them to their next opportunity. And beyond us, just the people, they have families at home that probably are relying on them for daily income and what's not. So it's
yeah,
way beyond just me. It's about the chain of people that I'm affecting by the impact that I'm creating. Right.
yeah,
So times when things don't go the way I want and I feel down, I just remember, okay, don't you think you need to motivate yourself? Like this is why you started already. And then I remind myself of the successes that I have had. Like okay, if I could have done this, I did that, I can do this. And then if this opportunity doesn't come, it's fine. I'll go for the next one and the next one and the next one. So resilience is important. You can't be an
yeah.
entrepreneur or resilience. You won't survive.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay, I asked you a similar question to this earlier. I'm gonna ask it in a different way.
Mhm.
Because I want to see how I want to see your answer to this.
Mhm.
But you know, in 10 years, where is CodeLn?
Yeah.
What is the company like
Mm-hmm.
when you close your eyes and you dream
Mm-hmm.
about 10 years from now in your
Mm-hmm.
company? Where is it?
10 years, we have to hit global at that time, at least to a certain level, right? So spreading our impact beyond just the continents where they are now. So I mean, I speak more about the engineers in Africa, but it's way beyond that. We also have the startups that are struggling to hire that we are helping. We are helping them push their product to market. We are helping them raise that funding
Yeah,
that they need. So that is also impact on its own. So spreading our impact beyond just the continents where we are represented, growing the company into the size that we want it to be at that time.
yeah,
Of course, we must have gotten in some certain amount of money, but beyond that, it's really about getting close to the vision that we had set when we started the company, right? How many people have we want to be able to measure numbers, like how many people have we connected to jobs, how many people have we connected to opportunities that have indirectly led to jobs, you know, how many people have we helped with payments with the new platform we are working with, what are we doing for our various communities,
yeah,
just Africa, for other emerging markets, how are we helping them solve this problem of unemployment, you know? So it's how close are we to the aim or the goal we set for ourselves when we started? So the company is going to be 5 years in December, right? How close we are to that goal. So it's going to be 15 years. Wow. That's gonna be, yeah, we go global.
that's amazing. El, this has been a phenomenal conversation. Like, I'm like, I think I'm like honestly a bit mind blown. Like, I think I'm like super super touched by this conversation as well because I like really love the vision that you all are having for this company. And the reason I say that, I think a lot of times I think entrepreneurs are looking to build a business for themselves, or to get whatever that return is, whether it's to get the celebrity from entrepreneurship, to get the money from entrepreneurship, like whatever
Those
that
things
is.
are
But
perks. They're
what you say?
add-ons. I said those things are add-ons.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Right, like those things are, like you said, those things are add-ons, and y'all are really building a company that's impact first,
Mhm.
and that's like community driven, and like you just killing it. Like I love it. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like super blown away by this.
Thank
I
you.
guess my final question for you: how can people get connected to you, get
Mhm.
connected to CodeLn, get connected, whether as you all are raising funding? How can
Mhm.
VCs get in touch?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So I'll say my favorite platform is LinkedIn. So I'm easily accessible via LinkedIn.
For
We
sure.
also have our website, CodeLn.com, where we have all our products. And our official email is info@codeln.com. We reply fast. So for partnership, we're looking for partners, we're looking for investors, we're looking for basically anyone that wants to work with us, right? If you're
Yeah,
looking to hire as well, we're looking for clients, we're looking for collaborations that would benefit, I mean, both parties, right? So you can reach out to us by email or feel free to reach out to me directly via LinkedIn, or any of the team members, basically. But yeah, we are readily available to discuss.
incredible. Okay, I'll link all that below.
Mhm.
I'll find all those links and make sure I link them all below wherever people are listening to the show. But El, all in all, thank you so much. This again was an incredible conversation.
Mhm.
I can't wait for people to hear it. But also, thank you and your team for running the business the way that you are, and really striving to make that impact in what you're doing. Like, that's really what it's all about. And I know I get on my wife's nerves. All the time I'm sitting here talking to her about businesses, and I'm like, no, the businesses have the wrong focus. Like, they need to be focused on making the impact, and then everything else will come with it. Like,
Yeah.
so I feel like I get on her nerves, like preaching the same thing all the time. But like, this is, like I said, I'm extremely touched by the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you so much.